Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, Unseen to Unstoppable. I'm your host, Ilene Carol, and today we're going to be interviewing Kathryn Stark. Kathryn Stark is a national literacy consultant, author, and founder of Creative Minds Publications, an award-winning publishing company headquartered in Richmond, Virginia. Yay! And she is the creator of the 9th annual Tackle Reading event supported by the National Football League. Kathryn, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Ilene. And your podcast name is genius.
Thank you. I agonized over it, because it's sponsored by Women's Quarterly Magazine, and I should talk about that more often. But, I went through all these names, and of course, you probably know this because of the business you're in too, trying to, do things with your authors and stuff like that. But every name is taken. You got these domain brokers now where somebody decided to get this genius idea and to go through and buy up all the domains and all the usernames on social media. And so that's the problem. You can come with this great name, but it's been brokered already. So this one wasn't.
Yeah, well, it was a sign.
That's right. So, but it was a process. But the magazine is in memory of my sister. She was bulimic and anorexic and just suffered from mental illness her entire adult life. And so I'm trying to keeping up with that theme, unseen to unstoppable. She didn't get her chance to be unstoppable, so we're going to do that for her.
Oh, I love that.
I know. Every time I read your bio, I end with that National Football League. I'm going to tell you, I don't know if it's jealous or envy. I mean, I can't talk. It must be jealousy because envy would be, I wouldn't want you to have it or me to have it. So it's jealous because as a huge fan of the NFL, wow, that's amazing. I can't wait to get in all these little things. And I forgot to mention, I said I was going to say this in your bio and I forgot to mention it, that Kathryn Stark is also the winner of our Everyday Woman contest that landed her on the cover.
That was so fun, so amazing, so unexpected, just still honestly a dream come true.
I know. I love that whole experience. And so we hope to do that again. We've had to put some things off. And so like this podcast, I'm thankful to start it back up. I'm thankful to have you because that's one of the things we're supposed to do is to interview you on your journey. Now, let's talk about that. So you were a teacher and your journey from being in the classroom from teacher to now you're a literacy consultant. What inspired you to take this leap? And what are some challenges you face with that?
Gosh, I'm kind of I was thinking about this before chatting with you. I'm definitely today doing things that I never imagined that I was going to be doing. My whole childhood, I just wanted to grow up and be an elementary school teacher. And I was, and I loved it. And I still am so in with educational consulting and literacy support and presentations and writing and all of those things, just because teaching has just been such a big part of me. I just like to think now that I'm still a teacher, just in a much larger classroom.
Right. I love that. And some of the things we've talked about, and it might come out later in this interview, is some of the reasons why you left that, which, I'm sad about that because it's something that we keep hearing about in the news. So, just the challenges of being a teacher and where you were in the inner city, right?
Oh my gosh, I know. And I had the best students, the best parents. I still in communication with a lot of them, through social media, through just emails. I mean, I have students that will find me and say, "Do you remember me?" And I'm like, "I was your first grade teacher," which means you had a lot of people after me.
Right.
How do you remember me?
Right.
But when I was teaching, and I was in the classroom about 20 years ago, and it's just very different today. I was able to have a lot more autonomy. I was able to create lesson plans that worked for my students. I was able to say, "Hey, I want to do this field trip," and we did it. It's very different. And it's kind of one of those reminders in every single industry, what is going great and what is not going great, and how can we improve what's not, so that we can just make that industry the best it can be. And right now, I mean, all eyes are on education for sure.
For sure. Now, when I read your bio, I mentioned that you're headquartered in Richmond, Virginia, and I did my little yay, and because we're both from Richmond, and we've talked about that as well. So let's talk about that. How has locally, being in Richmond, how has that local community helped you with where you are right now?
It's interesting because I think about when I wrote my very, very first book. I wrote my very first children's book when I was a second grade teacher. And I was so happy that Style Weekly in Richmond, Virginia did like the very first review for it. And, Good Morning Richmond and Good Morning Virginia just opened their doors and welcomed me on. And that was amazing. And so I think starting out as an inner city elementary school teacher that happened to become an author, and then happened to start her own publishing company, I'm definitely grateful for the Richmonders that supported me from the beginning. I mean, I'm celebrating my 20th anniversary this year of my company.
Wow.
And I very, very much know the people that have been there for me from the beginning, and the people that I have to thank and appreciate for still being with me today in Richmond. But I know now that I have added more layers of, we publish books from authors all around the East Coast and all around Virginia. Obviously, Tackle Reading is national. I'm speaking at the World Literacy Summit at Oxford University in April. So I think that I'll never forget where I am headquartered currently and where I'm from, but I definitely am working with a lot more people nationally and internationally.
And you get to, because of this new challenge, I said new adventure, you're saying you're doing so many things that you would have never done. So it's kind of like this path you're on has taken you out of your comfort zone. And so you've been sometimes I see photos of you on social media. I think you're in London or somewhere.
Yeah.
You're in New York. Where all have you been?
I mean, that's the thing. And I look at the world map and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many places I need to get to and I need to make it happen. And so for me, I mean, I spend most of my time is in New York, Richmond, around Virginia, DC area, and LA is where I spend most of my time. Like most of my book projects have been in those places. The great things about my seminars are online, so anybody can participate. But yeah, I mean, going back to Oxford and London this spring, I know, like who knew that was going to happen? But again, you're right. I have to go out of my comfort zone more and more to be able to do these things.
That's amazing. Now, you said you've been in business 20 years, and I remember reading the press release. I think it mentioned Amy's Travels. Was that the book that was mentioned in that press release?
Yes, our very first book was mine, Amy's Travels.
Okay. And it's multicultural. It's a children's book. It's been published in over 20 countries. Yep. What inspired that story, and how do you hope it impacts our young readers?
So I was teaching second grade when I wrote the book, and it doesn't matter what country you actually are an elementary school teacher, you have to teach the 7 continents. So all of the children of the world have to learn about the 6 other landforms around the world where they do not reside. Mm-hmm. And I went to the library to look for books to teach because I've always been a big proponent of children's books and picture books to teach concepts, from science concepts to math concepts, you name it. And when I went to the library, it was only nonfiction titles, which means I needed to load up with 7 different books, a book on Africa, a book on Antarctica. And there was not a fictional story. And my friend Amy, who was my college sweet mate. She grew up on 5 of the 7 continents. Her father, he was in the government and he worked with embassies. And so she had this international lifestyle as a child. And I said, Amy, can I tell your story to my students? Because I really think it's going to make an impact in learning outside of your community. And she's so lovely. And of course she's like, yes. And then I said, okay, can I turn it into a book? And she's like, yes. And I said, okay, can we turn it into, on all of these different things that I don't think that she expected to happen as right. I did not either. The book was selected by the state of California as a recommended multicultural book. It was used in Australia for a global industry book. And the thing is, what I love about children's books is even though it will be turning 20 years old and we're actually making a 20th anniversary edition and putting some new things in it, I really love the fact that new readers are always, connecting with children's books. So children's books really never go out of style because there's always a new reader that's being born or coming to school and that's being exposed to it. And I'm just so excited that Amy's Travels has been chosen to be that resource that we needed at the library 20 years ago to be a fun, engaging story that teaches the 7 continents.
That's an amazing story. I had my grandson one day. He's 4, and I don't know if I told you when we, sometimes talk in passing, that he was born on my sister's birthday.
Mm.
But anyway, now you got all these videos and things and whatever. And so I asked him, I said, what's the largest continent?
Mm-hmm.
He said, Asia. And I told somebody, and they said, "What did he get it right?"
Yeah. Yes, he did.
So when I tell that story, they were like, "Why did he know what it was? Why did he knew? He knew."
Oh, hilarious!
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you did that because I never thought about that before. But you're right. It doesn't matter where you're from. You have to learn that. I don't know. These are things that we don't think about that we take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
So now let me move on to your tackle reading. Tell me about that and how it connects with the NFL and how it promotes literacy and things like that.
So again, it just started as a book, a book idea. And I wanted to write a book about my work in literacy. So I had started, by the time Tackle Reading came about, I had started doing a lot more consulting in schools, primarily around Virginia, and then some conferences up and down the East Coast. And I would help failing schools improve in literacy. And people would say, what are you going to write a book about, your tips or your strategies? And I'm like, oh, there's 1,000 of those, please. That's really, I don't think we need another one. And I then was thinking more about it, and the Washington Commanders, then the Redskins, when I started with them, had a Redskins Read program.
Mm-hmm.
And they invited me up as a local author to read Amy's Travels on some special literacy events. And I was just extremely, I think it was more like an aha moment, just very, very interested to see how excited kids were about reading when somebody that they looked up to or watched on TV or saw in a game was reading to them. And then talking about the importance of reading. And I thought, okay, this is what we need to capitalize on in a sense. So I took the idea of, let me write a book about some of the strategies and successes and ideas that I have seen or done or implemented over the years. And let's combine it with this passion for football. So I called 45 friends, some authors, some athletes, some celebrities, like Dolly Parton's Foundation wrote a chapter in the book. And I decided I wanted it to be jargon-free, just a motivational book to get families and teachers excited about teaching and learning of reading. And so Tackle Reading, the book, was born and published. And then me, being the idea person that I am, said, I think this needs to be bigger than a book. I think we should have a tackle reading event. I'm going to call the NFL, and this is just going to happen. And a lot of people laughed, and I was like, okay, I don't know why you're laughing, because we're going to do this. And I, fortunately had the connection at Washington. So I reached out to them with my idea first, and they were like, yes. And then I connected with a wonderful person, Michelle Staubach Grimes from the Dallas Cowboys on social media. I had no idea that she was the daughter of legendary Dallas Cowboys player Roger Staubach, who became one of our very, very first readers for Tackle Reading, which was incredible.
That's awesome.
And just by, initially she and I, we just called people and emailed people and just said, this is what we want to do. Thought it was only going to be for 1 year just to bring the book to life. And 9 years later, we're still here because every year we have schools that ask to participate, and our athletes love participating and participating again. Our teams are amazing. So we are right now, like you were talking to me today, in the middle of planning for March 3rd, 2025 is our 9th annual event.
I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to make sure that I have you put that out there. We talked about your 20th anniversary, which we'll get to that as well. Like what you're planning for that. So maybe I should ask that now since we put that out there. So March 3rd is the Tackle Reading event. Now tell us about what you have planned for your 5th anniversary for your publishing company.
Yeah, again, the idea person in me said, I need to publish 20 books for the 20th year in 2025. And so I basically have decided, and we've chosen, some of the books that are already going to be published, some children's authors that I've already worked with that are writing another book. But officially, we are opening submissions to anyone that wants to publish a book. And we will consider, obviously we have rolling admissions, so anybody can turn in a manuscript submission. There is absolutely, you do not need a literary agent. You just need a great story. I don't really care, anyone's background, anybody's, journey in a sense. It's not going to make or break what books we choose. We're only looking for quality books. And so in order to be considered for the 20 titles, they just need to be submitted by June. And one lucky person will receive a traditional publishing contract. But we will be publishing 20 books for the 2025, celebrating the 20th anniversary. While we love children's books, which is my expertise, we actually are publishing some memoirs. We have a YA fantasy on the way. And we've had some submissions for even some self-help and chick lit. So if anybody has a book idea and they've been sitting on it, this is your sign to send that book to us for review.
And where do they go to submit this?
So when you go to creativemindspublications.com, you'll see on the left side, it says publish your book. So just click on that and follow those directions to send us your manuscript, a cover letter to be considered as a published book by CMP. We can't wait. The submissions that I see are incredible, and I absolutely believe there's a book for every reader, and there's a reader for every book. And I want to help even more authors bring their books to life.
That's amazing. So let me ask you, just for the people listening that they're out there, they've been, like you said, this is a sign. Is it, because I don't know anything about this. This is where I go dumb. The manuscript, is it a book idea? They have to have so many pictures. Does it have to be a finished product? Like what are they submitting to you?
So I've had people just send me an idea, and then that's obviously going to take a lot more work and probably won't be done in 2025 versus someone who has written or typed up and sent a full manuscript, meaning just even text. So the text of a children's book or the text of a novel, and they finally finished it and they've sat on it. That's what people are sending. Some people have sent children's books that are already colored or illustrated because they had a family friend, and some are seeking an illustrator. And the great thing is all of those, if the idea is great and we love it, and again, it's so subjective. So, I mean, I am a great example of someone who has sent books out to tons of people. And so some books my company ended up publishing, but I have written romance novels that are published by somebody else. So in the publishing industry, there's a variety of options, and there's also a publisher out there for everybody to find their home for their book.
I'm excited. So make a mental note or something, because in my brain I might forget. Let's plan to announce who the winner is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, we're going to announce and show like the 20 titles throughout the year on social media. And then it's going to be interesting to see, like, we're going to highlight the 20 books, but I'm certainly wondering which one's going to stand out as almost, I don't want to say the best, but one that is worthy,
Right.
you know, of a good publishing contract.
For those of you listening, please be patient with us. We are in the middle of a snowstorm, and so you know how that goes. The internet's kind of patchy. It might go in and out, but we're not going anywhere. Kathryn and I are determined and dedicated to be here, so if it goes quiet, we're still here. So I want to talk about, I didn't realize, I mean, I know just from being around you how accomplished you are, but you've got these titles here. 50 great writers you should be reading and 20 educators to follow. How do these recognitions, what did it mean to you when you received them personally and professionally?
Gosh, that's such a good question, because I feel like a lot of times, and I'm actually trying to do a lot better with this in 2025, but I feel like a lot of times in a society that very, very heavily relies on instant success or instant gratification or a certain amount of likes, you sometimes think I'm falling short because I don't have this, that, or the other. And I think that to know that those two recognitions that you mentioned, they're perfect for me, because they're two things that I have spent my entire life doing, and they're definitely my two gifts, which are teaching and writing. So, I mean, I'm not going to be getting any sort of honor for, you know, best skier on the planet or any just like quick thing like that. But just to feel that people are resonating with the work that I feel is my passion of writing and teaching, it is a good just kind of confirmation that I've chosen the right path for myself.
I love how you put that together. One of the recent interviews I did, we were talking about that and how, because her advice was not to compare.
Mm-hmm.
When she
so
said
true.
That, I was like, oh, wow, yes, we're definitely on track. And she was talking about social media, and she opened the door for that. And so I said, and I said I was two-faced. She said, you're not two-faced, because I was like, I own a marketing company, but I can't stand social media.
Huh?
I know we need it, and I know what it's there for, and people put out what they do. But unfortunately, the way our minds are made up, and I don't know how many people are aware of this, that, that scrolling through affects you. You may not know that it does, but it does something to you internally, where it might create self-doubt. You start comparing things like that. And like you said, number count. And so I understand when you get these achievements like you've, received, it does make you feel like, yes, I have contributed. I am on the right path, because unfortunately, that's the downside of social media.
Yeah.
It can make you feel less than.
Yeah. For everybody.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying
exactly
for you, me, but, for everyone, and that's why
exactly.
It's a struggle for me to even be on it, and I have to make myself be on it, and so my advice to people is to, at some point, schedule some, I'm not going to be on time, just to not be
I
on.
love that.
So, because that's what it does. And that's what, and so you need to be out there. You need some type of recognition of some sort for that reason, so that you can feel like you really are contributing to society. And like you said, that you're on the right path. So,
well, it's so funny because like I don't always watch all of the award shows on TV, and I happened to watch the Golden Globes this week, and I happened to stay up and see the Demi Moore acceptance speech that's been like replayed so many times, but really echoing this. She's been in her industry as an actor for over 40 years, and this was her first award.
wow.
And so it is unbelievable, like, everybody's journeys, what they're going through, what people have said to them along the way, who've recognized them along the way. And so you really just have to remember truly, I mean, the biggest cheerleader for you is you, period.
It is. Thank you for saying that, because that's my point. I don't know if I was going to get that out, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, the whole not comparing, and like you said, you've got to be your biggest advocate, and it starts with you.
Yeah,
it starts with you and how you talk to yourself. That's where it starts. So having said all that, out of all the media platforms you've been featured on, is there one that stands out particularly meaningful for you?
No, because every single one is reaching a different audience. I mean, I love Forbes and I love Parents Magazine. And I was recently quoted in Parents Magazine for the teaching of reading. And I was quoted in Forbes all about, the use of audiobooks and graphic novels for reading. So again, it's interesting because you sometimes always think of these outlets as a particular purpose, but to be able to share my expertise and passion again in teaching and writing in a variety of these platforms is amazing to me.
That's awesome. See, now something else that I know. You're in Forbes and Parents Magazine. Look at you, Kathryn. Look, you go, girl.
Well, thanks.
So now I told you I wanted to talk about something that's serious. The recent news we've had about the school shooting and being a teacher. And so I wanted to go back to that.
Yeah.
Working in the inner city schools. What are some of these, challenges, if I can get the word out, what are some of these challenges that you've experienced? Were you able to address them?
So I was in a school in inner city Richmond, and people label inner city schools around the country, right? But I will tell you, it's where I love to be. I wanted to be. I felt the most myself. I felt like the student and the teacher community was perfect for me. I wouldn't have changed anything in the world. I do believe that you work really, really hard. Every teacher works hard. And just go ahead and triple that if you work in an inner city, because sometimes you're working with children who have never had a school experience before, and you're their very, very first teacher. Sometimes you never meet parents. Sometimes you are dealing with experiences that 6-year-olds have already had, trauma in their life that you as an adult haven't experienced, and this little one has, and learning so much about how trauma impacts learning, hunger impacts learning, environment impacts learning. It's so much more. And in America, there's a lot of different neighborhoods and communities and lack and needs in America. And I think they show up greater in inner city schools.
And so I want to address something you said. I believe you said, if I heard you correctly, that inner city schools get stereotyped.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if I told you this, but it's the staff, my staff, that does the voting for who's going to be the winner. It's by the popular vote of my staff who's going to be the winner on the cover. And that's what they said to me, and hopefully, this is just me, putting it out there. They said to me, here's this white woman who has taken on a problem that's not her problem. That's what they said to me.
Wow. I mean, I never...
stunned.
Yeah, well, because I don't even think about it like that. I literally am like, I'm a teacher and I really wanted a job. And this school welcomed me with open arms. And I was able to do what I wanted to do to get kids to learn to read. So that's interesting.
That's what, and I'm always learning, and that's why, I like being around people because they can express their opinions, but and then when they said it, I had to think about it. I had to sit and think about
Yeah.
that, so, I get it. And so based on all that, what you're doing, what you've been through, what your passion is, what your goal is, what advice, and I know you're already doing this, but just tell our audience, what advice would you give educators looking to improve literacy and the outcomes in their classrooms, especially in these under-resourced schools?
So, there's a lot of information out today about the science of reading. It's even made it into mainstream media just because of the horrible standardized test results and national reading panel results. The science of reading research is not new. It's over 40 years old. In fact, some of the materials that are recommended to use are from the 70s and the 19. So I believe that while we always need to make sure that we are up to date with the best research to ensure that we're providing quality literacy instruction, I don't really care how great of a lesson you have if you have not taken the time to learn how to connect with your students, engage your students, provide them with real life experiences, really activate and build their background knowledge, find books that resonate with them. It's not going to matter how solid your lesson is, because we have to be, as individuals and especially kids, we have to be excited, engaged, and see that it's relevant to me. And if it's not, then I'm not even going to listen to you.
Wow. So, I'm trying to connect that with the program that you already have. How does that work, and what results have you seen? Because you're offering a literacy program to teachers currently.
So, and the thing about it is, I have a book called A Touchdown in Reading, and I do literacy seminars and literacy consulting. And what I am very, very clear about in the very, very beginning, and this is why I get to be in public schools, charter schools, Catholic schools, independent schools, because it doesn't come down to a program. It really comes down to the instructional practices. So I've been in schools that have a textbook that everyone has to use. I've been in schools where there's no textbook, just a bunch of books that you would get from the library or Barnes and Noble to use. And so the goal is to see what that school has, what are the strengths and challenges of that program or materials, and how can we make the instruction so great that it supports or implements this purchase program to the best of its ability.
It's incredible. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for your contributions to our inner city youth and the teachers who are trying to support them in those areas, because it's needed. So thank you. If you haven't been told thank you enough, thank you for.
Thank you. I'm just so, I say thank you when a school lets me come in and work with them, because when we really are working together, honestly, that's where all of the great results happen. And if you watch the news, you can see there's a lot of work to do.
No, it is. It is.
So,
I really didn't want
anyone can join in.
I really didn't want to bring it up, but I was like, let's talk about it. What's next for you? You talk about, how did you have it phrased? You come up with these great ideas. So you probably already have, you probably have something in the working. What are some projects? What's coming up? What's next for your company? What's going on?
Yeah. So right now, honestly, my current focus is on the 9th annual Tackle Reading. We always want to make it every year, bigger and better. I'm very excited about the 20 books for the 20 years. I want to make sure that my company just continues to expand and make more of an impact in schools and in the lives of authors. We created our company based around, obviously, my expertise in education, and then publishing for purpose. So I love using titles and books that we have, like we just talked about them earlier, Tackle Reading, now to be used to make this great platform, about how to tackle reading across the country. We've used children's books to really increase awareness of some nonprofits around the country, children's hospitals, global awareness, just a variety of themes. Like if I can just help advocate for a particular organization or a cause through a book, that's what I'm going to do. So that, and then my World Literacy Summit performance. I mean, I get to change my status maybe for a day, Eileen, from national literacy consultant to international literacy consultant.
That's
so
awesome.
That will be fun too.
So awesome. I keep telling you when you get these trips planned, invite me, especially when you go to New York. But I'm still waiting. I haven't gotten an invite yet.
I'm still waiting too. This weather is putting a dampener on some of my plans, but I got you.
Oh, look. So this is interesting to me. I want to ask you this: if you could achieve one dream or goal, what would it be and why? Within the next 5 years. Let's give it a time period.
Within the next 5 years, I definitely want to help as many authors as possible bring their book to life. I want our books to reach the greatest amount of readers possible. I would love to teach the world to read. I mean, that's like huge, lofty goal. And then a fun, honestly, a fun other thing. I mean, I tinkered and toyed and did some work at EdTech and, created an app myself and I started doing more consulting for EdTech companies and that kind of thing. And then the other fun thing, I really think it would be great to see a lot of our books become movies. I think that books to movies and books to TV, especially in programming, that's just another level. That would be so another idea to add to my.
I know. I think that was one of the things that we talked about and connected on your book, The Perfect Blend. I'm like, oh my goodness, I would love it because when I initially started my company, that was one of the things I wanted to support young film producers. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows? You could be the producer of The Perfect Blend and Amy's Travels and anything else.
You never know because that was That was a goal of mine, and life took me down another path. I take care of my mom, and if I had to do it all over again, I would still do that.
Yep.
And so, but yes, that was a goal of mine is to do a film based off of a book because I love your book. It reminded me of one of those Hallmark or Lifetime movies.
Yes.
Not the Psycho Lifetime movies, but the
no, exactly. Ones. I know. I'm the same way. I'm like, am I living in a Hallmark movie right now or a Lifetime movie right now? But a lot of the reviews said that. A lot of readers were like, this reminds me of a Hallmark movie. So I kind of think that that's a sign that Hallmark should already turn it into a Valentine's Day movie.
I still need to log on to Amazon and give you that review because I was like, when I finished, I was like, oh my goodness. But then, and not to make excuses, but everything blew up with my mom and COVID and everything like that.
No, I'm just so grateful you read the book.
I love to read. My mom had us reading at an early age and it was an escape for us as well as we got older, especially when you're considered different. I'm dyslexic and I'm in physical therapy and this for the first time, I'm being 54 years old, I'm telling my age, I had somebody really relate to me and listen to me. Even though it was a medical thing, she was putting it all together and she was telling me about myself and why my movement is the way it is and things like that. Because I told her, I said, just because I can stick my arm this way and do this, because, I can do a lot of movement. But again, she told me that that's because how my brain is. People with the way my brain is, forget the term, but like we hyper extend it, whatever, we can move our bodies, and, but the doctors will think, oh, there's nothing wrong because you can stick your arm in the air and do this and that and everything. But yes, when you're different and people think you're different, you got to have some sort of escape. And mine was books.
Wow. Yep. I love it.
Mine was books. So let me ask you this. We're gonna get ready to do the fun hot seat questions in a minute. But just to wrap this up, because of our theme of our podcast, what advice would you give to women who feel unseen in their journeys?
I feel like women especially feel unseen in our journeys. I honestly read something recently that was like, if every woman would walk around with the confidence of like a 5'4" man, we would all be so much further ahead.
I can't believe we just conversation about the Napoleon syndrome. Oh my goodness.
I mean, and I'm like, you're right. I need to do better. And so I think that just kind of going back to like what I said before, I loved how you brought up before about the comparison and not comparing yourself. I really believe truly that each path is unique. I mean, we know each person is unique, but really it is true. I mean, I have figured out my strengths and challenges. I go and I use my strengths and challenges for the best of my ability. And no one is going to celebrate you or, move you forward as much as you are. So just if it feels right and it feels like this is what you're supposed to be doing, keep doing it because you're probably making a greater difference than you could even imagine.
That's amazing. So now we're up to our hot seat fun questions. If you could go back to your younger self, what piece of advice would you tell your younger self?
I think about my younger self often. So it's funny because like my family will say, you're exactly the same as you were when you were little. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. I'm going to pretend it's positive. Like
Look,
I've always
you better find out. You better ask what they're saying. Are they trying to throw shade?
I know. Well, I know people really liked me when I was a little girl. So I think it's a positive. I mean, I was always a pleasant person and I'm always pretty calm person. I'm the oldest of 3 girls. So, the good listener. But I know for a fact that I would tell my younger self that those people that may have like excluded you or, turned on you or didn't like you, that is fine because the right people that belong with you will always love you. And not everyone's going to like you. And the thing is, like when that happens to you when you're little, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to be something different because this particular group of people doesn't like me. And then when you get older, and I'm still working on this, is getting older as you realize, like, you know what? You have to just be and embrace yourself because not everyone is going to like you, but there are people that are going to resonate with you, and those are your people. And the people who are not, they are not your people. And that's fine. And that's how it should be.
That is. And so when you're not doing your literacy work and you're working on your business, what are some things you're doing in your spare time to recharge and find inspiration?
So I love to travel. I love the beach. I really enjoy like fine dining, new restaurants, yummy foods. All of those things make me happy. And I have a lot of nieces and nephews. And so just playing. Everyone, when we go to the like family beach vacation, everybody wants to sit by Kathryn. I guess if you don't have children yourself, they think you might be a child. They can't figure out who you are. Well, they're always like, we're sitting by Kathryn tonight. Well, that's great because you know what? There's still, my inner self still shines brightly, I guess, when I'm out and about with friends and family and nieces and nephews.
Adults should find a way to tap into their inner child.
Yes.
When I say, I like the coloring books or things like that, or I watch cartoons or whatever, I would get chastised or some kind of weird look or whatever. But you need that. You need to tap into that side of yourself. For some reason, we become adults and we're different. As children, we're just so open.
Yeah. Maybe that's why people didn't like me. I didn't turn into that adult I was supposed to be.
I don't know. I love you to pieces, so stay like that.
Thank you. You too.
Is there a book or author that, because you're a writer and doing literacy, is there a book or author that has influenced you that you love?
Gosh, I always have a stack of books on my bedside table, children's books, adult books, everything. I hate to say like I have a favorite author because there are a gazillion authors that are writing great books. I will say I have read every single novel that has come out by Tara Jenkins Reid. I think she's amazing.
Okay.
A lot of her books have actually been turned into like Amazon things and such, but I've read her books as soon as she started coming out. any books too that have to do like with alternate worlds. Funny enough, my next book is called The Alternate World, but alternate worlds and like different paths and parallel universes. I love stuff like that. So like the Midnight Library, I love, but then I also love reading a lot of memoirs and success books from entrepreneurs. Like I just was reading about, Coco Chanel and like her past and how it got her to where she was. So really a variety. As one of my librarian relatives is like, wow, Kathryn reads a lot of fiction and nonfiction. I'm like, don't you? So just a wide. I like to say I'm well read, but I know that I'm missing out on a lot of articles and books and things that I should be reading too.
Right. So as we wrap this up, is there anything that you like to share about your story or your mission with our audience?
Well, the first book of 2025 that is being published, but from Creative Minds Publications, is called The Alternate World. And it is my very, very first YA fantasy novel.
Nice.
And it releases January 28th, 2025. So it was another idea. It was a dream that I had, and I took the dream, and for 10 years I worked on this book, and I have changed the setting and the characters and the problems in the situation, and now it is here. Definitely please add The Alternate World to your reading list if you're a fan of YA fantasy. And then obviously, thank you so much for bringing up our 20th anniversary with the offer and the gifts that we want to give to writers. And I mean, I just can't wait to kick off another Tackle Reading Day. So thank you so, so much, Eileen.
I know. And we're excited. We're going to be featuring that in Women's Quarterly, the first 2 editions, because by that time it'll be in connection with the due date of June.
Perfect.
And we're hoping to re-kick off New League Magazine to also put your Tackle Reading event in there. So hopefully we'll get things together for that so that we can also support that, because I've always loved that. Because like I said, the whole thing with the reading and the football together, that's right up my alley.
I know. It's
other interest.
No, it's a winning combination, and I can't reveal it yet, but we have a pretty great ambassador this year again, and some great teams, and yeah, I mean, you've chosen a good passion there, ma'am. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming on. I know you're busy, you got all this stuff going on, but thank you for coming on and telling us about all the things you're doing and how you're part of helping the world a better place.
Oh my gosh. Well, as are you. This podcast is awesome. And I mean, I know this is going to be making a big difference as well. So thank you for all of your support. I mean, honestly, it means the world, especially being a fellow Richmond area person.
Right.
Bonus point.
That's right. We got to support each other, stick together. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And don't forget to share, like, and comment, follow our podcast. And once again, I'm Ilene Carol, and you've been listening to Unseen to Unstoppable. Until next time.